Greetings, Patrick here, along with Al Lucard, aka the Bat. That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
Back.
Welcome to the Cat and the Bat Show. That's
That's right.
man.
I even wore my special shirt.
That what's that one? Oh, yeah, that's right. Look, I love the picture. I love the self picture. That's right. Did Vanessa take that one?
She did. She did. Yeah. It's a
All right,
self.
all right.
It's a portrait. Yeah, that she took.
So tonight, Al is going to be as our special co-host on this edition of Eight Questions with, as we will be interviewing Raymond Murray, Cinephobia Releasing. Now, I have been after this interview since I very first started this series way back on my blog. I have been asking Raymond
Wow.
for a interview. Oh yeah, jeez, I've been chasing this forever. Um, hey, Echo. Uh, I think there's only one other interview that I've actually tried to chase more than that, and that was an actress. Otherwise, it was Raymond. I've been after Raymond more than anybody else. Um, so I met Raymond. I met him when um, I don't exactly how him and I met. I think I put out a letter. I sent a letter to him, an email asking if I could be put on his press release list, and I think that was the start of it.
Mm.
And I interviewed several films from his other company, Artsploitation Films. I got to review a lot of those movies, and mind-blowingly good. Um, Art exploitation is just they have such a incredible library that actually Kino Lorber came over and bought his company. So Kino Lorber now they went and bought art exploitation, and I don't know why. It's one of the questions we're going to ask Raymond for sure. But I know that he was supposed to work with them. I think it's like a deal. It's like we're going to take your library and give you a job too. One of those
Hmm.
things. And which is common. That happens a lot. When you buy a smaller company, you tend to keep the people who made it successful. Um,
Right.
but
Right.
this is just my personal opinion, is the fact that I think that he got the itch. Like he got there and it's like, okay, well, you're gonna be, maybe they have him going to be managing the catalog of art exploitation, but he wasn't going to really be releasing anything new. And I think he just got into his blood, and
Mm.
I think he just went ahead and he said, thanks, but I'm going to go ahead and go on my own. So he left and he started Cinephobia. The funny thing is, though, it's like I was, that was it. When I heard about the sale of art exploitation to Kino Lorber, I didn't think I would, other than occasional emails saying hi, I didn't think I would. I thought that was it. I didn't
Right.
think there'd be
Right.
any more movies or anything else. I thought, you know, so imagine my surprise when I went to the mailbox and inside there was a package, and it was from Love Bandits, and I'm opening it up and I'm going like, I don't know who this is. I didn't know. I didn't know what this. I looked at it and going like, I don't know what this is. Look at the cover of it. Then I turned it to the spine, and then on the spine it was just like art exploitation with just enough changes. And
Hmm.
I'm going like, no
Like,
way, it couldn't be. So I got home, went upstairs, and put out his email. I says, "Are you back? Is this you? Holy, you know?" And and he says, "Yeah, I'm back." And so I was really tickled. Um, and Love
Very
Bandit, uh, it's like he never left.
good.
Awesome film from Argentina. Um,
Ooh,
uh,
nice.
yes, and it was such a good movie, and it was like it's and he's here. The doorbell has rang.
Oh,
I can't wait. This is gonna be a lot of fun. So put your hands together, share us out, let us and let's welcome in Raymond Murray from Cinephobia Releasing.
Hi.
Hello,
aloha.
Raymond.
Hi. How are you doing? Hi, Patrick.
We are singing your praises mightily here.
Uh-oh.
It's such an honor to
Yeah.
meet you. It really is. It's such an honor to meet you. I was telling Al that only one other person really has ever influenced the way I looked at films as much as you have.
Really?
And yes, oh yeah, you're the movies and the way you pick them and the it's just I have just amazing, just an amazing. I was known in the music business for having a good ear, which means I could pick out bands that would pop. I got hired because of that talent. People, band club people will come through and says, I want to hire you because you know which bands are going to break next. I look at you and that's the same thing I see. You have released so many great movies. I don't even know where even to start. I was walking with Al over the list of the movies because you and I met when you had art exploitation.
Artsploitation,
And,
yeah.
It's just so many great movies, and I was
before
so
that
depressed.
it was TLA Entertainment, TLA Releasing.
So there's even more movies that we have not seen from you yet.
Yeah, that was hundreds of releases. So,
I actually remember TLA. Yeah, I remember them very well.
Yeah.
I did not. I have. Well, it's funny. You would think by now I would hopefully run across one of those, but I have not. So that's really exciting. That's exciting already. I'm gonna have to look up. You have to give me a list of some of the films that I have to keep my eye out for.
Sure, definitely. Oh, there's some good ones.
So like I said, I'm sort of like a fanboy in here. In fact, that we got you finally on here. Because I've been telling everybody, it's like this is the interview that I've been after since I started it on my blog. I asked you probably like, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 times. Hey, how about doing an interview with me? It's like, but you know what though? It's like that because we had Peter Castro on last Friday from Bayview Entertainment, and he says, we're not really known for being in front of the camera. We're always known for being behind it.
Yes.
And so I realize that, but I also feel too in this day age of physical media being what it is, and the withdrawal of it, the suddenly shrinking of it. I think it's really important that we know as cinephiles how businesses work. How does distributing companies work? How do they pick the movies they're going to push for us to watch, and how can we help you do that as fans of films?
Yeah.
And now I know. Like I said, I don't know much about TLA, so I guess that'll probably be a good first question to you. Would probably be, how did you get your start in movies? I mean, like when you were growing up, what movies did you watch growing up influenced you to take your first step toward where you're at today?
I would say it was The French Connection was my favorite film when I was a teenager, when that came out. And that independent American scene of the early 70s and stuff, that excited me. And then I became an usher at a movie theater in Center City, Philadelphia, that was oddly doing black exploitation movies. But then someone told me, oh, you shouldn't be here. You should be going down to the hippie cinema on South Street. So I went down there at 17 and I stayed there for like 40 years. So it was a repertory cinema. So it showed like 400 films a year. So you really get an education.
Wow.
Is it still open?
It's now open as a music venue. I sold it in the late 80s and then expanded TLA in video stores in Philadelphia, New York, and online, and then and sold all of that 10 years ago, and then started Artsploitation.
You like to do you feel like it's a form of reinventing yourself? I mean, because you sold art exploitation to Kino Lorber,
right? And
then you turn around and then you start Cinephobia.
Yeah, I can't stop.
Yeah. I can totally understand that.
Yeah. Well, when selling the TLA, though, the TLA had about 200 employees. And then I went from that to just one employee, a new office with everyone working remotely. And I love that change. I only knew that big company. And then when you can pick your own movies, you don't have anything, it changes everything when you're just a small operation.
Now, did you when you were and jump in anytime you want, Al?
Yeah.
And I'll ask this question. I'm gonna let you get a couple in. I'm just so I'm giddy, so I'm just I gotta try to stay on track here. So when you went down there, you started working at the other art house. It was an art house film, right?
It was actually TLA at the time. It was called TLA Cinema, and it was a hippie repertory cinema, just showing every kind of weirdo films. And, it had Rocky Horror later on. It did Pink Flamingos, and it had all the other kinds of, from international films, American Independence, even in the mornings on Saturdays, kiddie films. So
wow, that was way ahead of its time. I mean, a lot of cinemas today, they do that during the summertime. They'll run kiddie stuff.
Yeah.
But that's just really brand new. That's probably since COVID, maybe COVID into COVID, but you were doing it way back then.
Yeah, because you have all these different audiences. We would do a serious art film in the afternoon and get an older crowd. Then you get pop international films, and then at night, midnight films, you get the weirdo stuff, and you would get totally different crowds coming in throughout the day. It was very popular at the time. But home entertainment and killed off almost all those kind of cinemas around the country. I mean, now others have come back, but back then, there was no competition. Everyone just wanted to stay at home. So we eventually then went to that side too, but we had to close the cinema up.
That sounds like a lot of what's going on today. Yeah. Everybody staying home and streaming everything. Yes. And it's this whole big.
Oh no, I know. I mean, I still go to the movies, and I'm always amazed when I go in there. Many times it's midweek stuff, and there's 4 or 5 people in the theater. Yeah, and you just but I still like going into each. No distractions. You sit there and
4 or 5 people during the afternoon, or 4 or 5 people at night.
Yeah, in the afternoon. Just for a matinee, midweek matinee, and I don't know what it's like at night there. I don't usually see them at night, but I also see pop stuff. I don't go to the Hollywood stuff, but I see, all the Avengers movies and all the Marvel stuff. So that's the kind of the stuff I like. Oh, but it's kind of like vacation when I go to see that stuff. Yeah,
So what's your favorite genre? What's your go-to?
Well, I would say you would think horror, because we kind of specialize in horror, but that's it's not really the case. I go to film festivals and film markets, and I just watch kind of art movies. I like a lot, just it could be a whole range of things. And so I really enjoy them, but in a practical sense in my business, those kind of films are tougher to sell. Kino Lorber has found a way of kind of picking certain titles and platforming them and getting them theatrically done, and actually can make money out of these from these more difficult titles. So something like horror films, there's a whole base of horror fans that are loyal, and and you can kind of target them too. So I just think I kind of geared into horror, so I see a lot of that now, but a lot of bad horror too.
Oh, there's a ton, yes.
yeah. But it ain't coming. It didn't come out on. It didn't come out on, at least from my experience, it didn't come out on art exploitation nor Cinephobia. Oh, hell no. I watch hundreds of movies every year, so does Al. And it didn't really surprise me that I told him that the first movie that I watched from you that was finished second on my year was Molly, and then
Oh
we.
yeah.
I end up interviewing both Thieves and Colinda, right?
Oh no, yeah, that's great. Yeah,
Yep.
that was very
Um,
popular. Yeah.
so Molly, and then I turn around and and one of the director of Red Christmas
Oh yeah, the Australian.
Christmas Blood, he comes through once in a while through the chat.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Christmas
Yeah,
Blood.
yeah,
Okay,
Mhm.
because we've had a couple Christmas films. Red Christmas, I think, is the one.
yes,
The Australian one.
and it's just like then I watched which was my #1 film of the
Oh
year,
yeah.
and then Brightwood.
Oh
And
yeah.
I turned Al onto Brightwood,
Yep.
and yeah, he watched it, and that was his #1 film of the year.
Oh great.
Yep. Sure was.
And
And that's our number. So far, we've released about 2, 4, 6, 8. And this new label, like 8 films, and that's been by far the best selling one.
that's a shame. It's a shame too, because all your movies that come out have been just outstanding. As far as Cinephobia, when I got the package from, after you and I talked, after you and I, when I have to go back and I have to sit there and say this because this is one of my talking points. But what I really enjoyed with you, Raymond, so much was the fact that you and I could talk about what I watched. Like you sent me a movie and I could turn around and I could watch it, and then we could talk about it.
Right.
And the one I remember right off the bat more than anything else was Rondo.
Oh.
Remember Rondo?
Oh yes.
Yeah, and we were talking about that climatic scene where she kills that 9-month-old woman, and you and I were talking about that scene. Like, man, that's just that's how do you? It was such a powerful scene. It was just like so unsettling. It really was. It's like, yes, she's not a good person, but her innocent child had nothing to do with it. But she still killed her anyway. And it's just like, man, it really boggled my mind with that, And I remember writing to you, and I remember our email was like, man, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
I really love the movie, and I did, and I do. But that last scene just had me just like, fucked up.
Yeah.
And and what's funny is like I'm telling Al too, is like I'm already going like, yeah, he's done some movies that will have you just shaking your head. And you can be a veteran of thousands of movies watched, but the movies that you pick to release on your labels will have you sitting there as a movie fan just talking to yourself. And I think honestly, I can't think of a better tribute to you and your ear and your eye than that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, sometimes they're not the most popular films, but it's my taste. If I have like a regular horror film that doesn't really break any new boundaries in filmmaking and stuff, or some weird little film like Rondo that you don't know where it's going and it goes into weird spots, I'm always going to take a Rondo. And even though it doesn't fit into a natural niche, I loved it. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Frustrating. I don't think I've know what the director's done since then. I don't know if he's done anything else.
I don't know. I thought about going back and I thought about going back and look at some of those movies that I reviewed and seeing where those directors. I know that Thieves is still working. Colinda is still working. I know for the two of those, I know Gizmo's still working. Renard, I know he's still out there.
Yeah. It's a tough business to keep. Many times it's a lot of these films, the director, they finance it through the 3 F's: friends, family, and fools. And then they sell it and they don't really get a very big return. And then that's it. They make one movie and they owe a lot of people money. So it's a tough thing to keep on staying in the business, especially directing.
What is so is the extreme is the wrong word, but is the rougher stuff is that something that you look for in a movie?
No,
But not really.
I'm like I've kind of gotten desensitized by sex and violence. So when I have problems today with Amazon and iTunes, I mean, just recently there's a glimpse of a frontal part of a penis in one film that goes for a half a second, and iTunes rejected it, and we had to pay another $900 to edit that out. Jeez. And you forget that you're upsetting, you know, the morals have tightened up a bit over the years even. And so I kind of like it that I still upset people by this choices of the films, especially the violence and sex. You know, it's like, but one of the great ones, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. It's The Coffee Table that's coming out in March.
Yeah. What did I say about that movie, Al?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You had definitely mentioned it for sure.
Yeah. So that movie. That movie. You sent me in a screener for it.
Yeah.
And that movie fucked me up.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was his exact word.
I don't get sick to my stomach watching a movie. I've never gotten sick at all. But that movie had me walking toward the bathroom. That movie had
actually use that on the cover of the DVD.
You should.
Yeah. What a heartbreaking movie.
Yeah.
Utterly heartbreaking.
Al, you haven't seen it yet?
Not yet, no.
Yeah.
Just from what Patrick has told me.
Yeah.
We have you have to put Al on your press release list.
Oh, sure. Definitely.
You have to make that happen. He's an excellent reviewer. And he really has a great eye and a great ear for good films too. You know, a lot of the movies that he watches are, you know, very much like me in the sense that we don't watch the popular shit. We like the Artsploitation stuff. We like the Cinephobia stuff. You know, we're sitting here like you could be sitting next door to me watching Scream 6, but me and Al, we're sitting over here watching Brightwood.
Yes, great.
You know, that's where we'll be.
We need more of those.
Yes. Oh, and you did see the review, the interviews that we did with Dane and Max.
I have not. No.
Oh, I'll resend those to you.
Oh, great. Oh, good.
Yeah. We got to interview, and I'm supposed to get a hold of Dana, but she's a little busy right now. Okay. But Dana said that she'll come by and pay us a visit too.
Yeah, and I think they're working on another film, so that's good.
Yeah,
they're very talented.
Very talented.
Yeah.
Hi Jim.
For no money, you know.
And of course, the mighty Hobbs is here. Thank you so much for dropping in. We are talking with Raymond Murray from Cinephobia Releasing. Yeah, so you know what's really interesting too. You know, I mean, maybe I'm putting my foot ahead of myself, but I think it's safe to say that that one of the things too is you are a champion of gay rights. You're very involved in the community in Philadelphia, and you've done a lot of work with that. When did you realize that was who you were, and were you surprised by the lack of representation on the screen? And was that one of the things that motivated you to become involved in movies?
It's complicated. I mean, early television, when I was a kid, I knew I was gay by looking at the guys instead of the girls, even when you're very young. And then when I got down to TLA, and I saw kind of like Boys in the Band and things like that, which are kind of a negative portrayal, but they're portrayals you still embrace because you don't see anything else. So, and then I was watching films for years, and then I ended up writing a book on gay lesbian cinema called Images in the Dark in 1995. And it was like an encyclopedia of films up till then, 1994. And since 94 till now, I mean, there's been a tsunami of gay themed titles. But back then you were kind of always searching for things. It wasn't really that prevalent in movies anyway. And then when we started TLA releasing, I started out by releasing art movies, and that didn't work. And then we started doing a little horror, and then we did gay, and those were the two that really clicked. And so we became kind of big players in the gay male world of kind of feature films from like 2000 to it's still going on. TLA still exists. So, but I sold it in 14. So, but it was a lot of great films.
I was going to say, growing up, I mean, it wouldn't have been that much for us, it wouldn't have been much for as far as straight gay cinema. There just wasn't that much there.
No,
it was such a neat market.
Killing His Sister George and Satyricon, Fellini's Satyricon. I mean, there were several films, but there weren't that many. Nighthawks was an independent British film, but in the early 70s, it really didn't take off just yet, gay cinema. So it was the pickings were hard to find. But now it's like every film has some gay subplot or character or something like that. So it's changed a lot.
Yeah, I was talking before, and I reviewed it too. It was a movie that it was a first for me, and I watched and I reviewed a Latent Image.
Oh yeah,
yes, and you go in there, and I was watching it, and what made me nervous about the movie wasn't the movie itself. Is that I had never written about it. I've written about the subject, or talked about it. So I was really, I didn't know exactly the term I used for it. And it's like, I hope this, and I said, I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but I said, this is my first queer horror.
Yeah.
I never heard the term. I just came up with that. So that's what I went with. And I said, this is a really good movie. It is a really good movie. And I thought the co-lead, Josh Trank, I thought he could have been a little bit stronger as far as the acting goes. But the movie itself overall was really strong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real strong. And it has a really dynamic ending. It's like, it's a fucked up ending. But it's a great film. It is a great film. Not a good film, but a great film. And I it was my first experience with that kind of film.
Oh, okay.
I never had reviewed anything like that before.
You should see.
It's not on the shelf. It's not on the shelves. Even when I went down to the video store, that wouldn't necessarily be on the shelf. I wouldn't see these type of movies.
No, and but there's a film called. Now I'm drawing a blank on it, of course. Death Trap from the 90s. It's similar to the Latent Image, in which it's two people battling, and it's got writers involved and stuff, and a little homoerotic undertones and things. It's so. If you haven't seen it, Death Trap is great.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, there's been, and probably more in British cinema. What country do you think has made the most strides to be more inclusive of gay cinema?
Oh, U.S. I think by far. I mean, UK similar too, but those two countries are the ones that. Because I used to run the gay cinema, the gay film festival here in Philadelphia, as well as the International Film Festival, and the submissions, it's like 80% American films. So it's still tough in a lot of other countries to get, because a lot of other countries depend on subsidies from the government. Yeah. And so, a lot of these countries, they don't get it when they tell you the theme of the film. So
yeah, I've seen horror directors, they'll sit there and say they're not allowed to do, to get that subsidy. They're discouraged from including certain types of scenes and characters.
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
It's sort of like, I want to make a horror movie where someone's going to get their throat slit. Well, we have a problem. We want our killer to be naked.
Yeah.
we can't give you any money for that.
Exactly. That's the case. Where in the United States, it's all privately funded. So if you can get someone to agree, you can do whatever you want. So a little bit more freedom. But,
Interesting.
yeah.
So my question is, so right now Brightwood is streaming on Tubi. So what are your thoughts on like the streaming platforms like Tubi or Plex, or is that something that you champion, or is that something?
Oh no, I think it's great because during the Artsploitation days, we didn't do too much with the AVODs. We just kind of, if we could get a Netflix deal, great. If not, it went out on transactional Amazon Prime and things like that. But for independent people, Tubi's been a godsend because it's advertising based, and sometimes the money you get from that. The first check I got from Tubi, I couldn't believe it. It was like $17,000 for, like, I'm forgetting the title, but a very small film, and I'm like, wait, has to be a mistake. But now, so it's really helped independent film. You start with, it's usually 90 days after your first release, like on Amazon Prime and Apple TV and Google, that you put it out on Tubi. And then and it's kind of another shot in the arm for people that don't want to pay the $2.99, $3.99. They don't mind watching commercials. So it's a great system. But Tubi just announced last week that they're becoming more restrictive.
Saw that.
So the days of it being a lifesaver for independent films may be curtailed a bit.
Yeah, it's going away to Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime is the same thing. Being when they first started out, they took anything and everything that was sent to them and they aired it. But now, like the first thing I noticed that when I turned on today, I clicked on Tubi today, the first thing that looked back at me was Fury, the movie with Brad Pitt, the World War II movie.
Yeah.
And then when I was watching the movie I was watching called I'm Haunted, all of a sudden here comes ads for Fox programming now on Tubi, with just brand new recent shows. And and it's just heartbreaking to hear that, because it's like, I don't want that. I don't need to see that. They don't necessarily need to be on Tubi. They got their own different platforms.
Exactly.
Leave Tubi alone for the independents.
Yeah.
And it's just it really is. It's almost like cutting your nose off to spite your face as far as Tubi goes. We don't want to see that happen. That's the thing that happened with Amazon Prime.
But Netflix, in the earlier years with Netflix, they were champions for independent films and foreign films and gay films, and they were wonderful. And then, of course, they restricted it, and they said, no, we're doing our own content, or we're just making exclusives with the big studios and things. And their whole focus on independent film and things just disappeared. So it's, you're always battling. As an independent distributor, you're always trying to find ways of, how can I get this out? How can I get eyes on these films? And without huge advertising budgets, and it's
so how do you do that? I mean, like
you, it's the press is a big thing for it, and then our advertising kind of limited these days to Amazon Prime and Google boosting and things like that, and Twitter, but or X, and so you have the advertising with that, and then you hope some of the platforms kind of generate their own interest in the film if they promote the title. So and social media, of course, and we try to do that. So, but it's never easy. Brightwood was the biggest one for us, but Dane actually did his own PR on the film, social media. I mean, so we paid him and said, hey, do your own social media. And he did a brilliant job, and it got a lot of people to see this film.
Yes, he has. And the word of mouth of it is strong.
Yes.
I mean, I know that I've been I'm sure Al can tell you this, but I was like John in the wilderness, yelling Brightwood, Brightwood, Brightwood.
Yep.
But that's the movie I thought was the best. I mean, when I watched it, I'm just like so blown away by it. I'm going like, that's the movie of the year for me. There's not going to be any other movie, and there wasn't. That's the thing. What it was like, I watched other movies too, and it's like, nope. It's like it's so good. It's so strong. And it's it's like how do I get people to watch this movie? How do I get because they're sitting over there watching the usual sprack,
Yes.
Scream and The Exorcist and all that other stuff. It's like, man, how could you guys? I don't look. I'm all for mainstream movies, to watch. I mean, I watch a few myself, but man, the resistance that you get, when you tell someone that, hey, take a chance on some indie cinema.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, am I wrong, Al, or do you feel?
No, it's terrible. Yeah, no, it's absolutely horrible, and that's why, like, when I do my reviews, I always try to do something no one's heard of, or so I'm just to try to get it out there.
Yeah.
And we like Patrick and I help as much as we can, but
Yeah. No, it's great, and it's just not an easy thing, but you do have the loyal following, so you hope to build on that and bring on new people and keep it a going concern. But sometimes these films, it takes years to recoup your investment if you do, as some films never do. But it's rarely that you can you hit a home run. So Brightwood was a good one, but still, it's. Actually probably made its money in the first 8 months, so that's good. 6 months even. So, but everything else, it's a tougher business that way.
I'm going to bounce through the chat real quick and catch up a little bit as far as some of the comments go. We're talking about the. Let's see. Hey, Stephen, how are you? Hobbs is here. Hobbs is commenting about. Some of the movies in the community that have been covered that were in the gay lesbian community. Titan, Bodies, Monster, the Eileen Warnos movie. Yeah, that was a while ago. Rocky Horror. I mean, Climax. I don't think Climax. I didn't really see Climax being I didn't really see that. I just saw that as more mainstream, but more weird. But Rocky Horror, yes, we talk about Rocky Horror, but Rocky Horror is a very old film. I mean, it's and it's like, yes, people still talk about it, but it does seem, but there's nothing new to go alongside it.
Yes.
There's nothing new. I mean, we're talking about Rocky Horror today, but there's never been a movie that came close to matching it. And that to me is like, with all the creative minds that we have today, you would think there would be new modern Rocky Horror show, but they really haven't. And no studio, what studio has pushed a movie like Rocky Horror Picture Show in the last 25 years?
Yeah.
I mean, I can wait for the answer. I would, show me another movie that's come out that's been like that.
No.
And I think we'd be waiting a long time. As Titan goes, let's see. There's some other ones. Raw. Anna and the Apocalypse. Again, though, it's like, again, those movies.
That one got away. I made a bid on that, but that went to a much bigger company. You saw that as a hit right from the beginning.
So that's really, really one of the other things I really wanted to talk about too is walk us through. I mean, you go to the different, like AFM, right? Is that where people? So, what do you write down movies? I mean, how do you keep track of these movies that are coming up? How do you know what movies are coming? And can you walk us through a day of you going to AFM and looking at movies?
What you do is that I keep a database of all these new titles as they're coming up, and mostly through film festivals and film markets and from the sales agents that send me information. So I compile all this stuff, and then if you go to AFM, or I'm going next month to the Berlin Film Market, and then you have Cannes Film Market, and you have all these things where the films are really fresh and no one's really seen them before. And so I spend at these markets, I spend 10 hours a day just watching movies. And in these markets, you expect to go into a theater, watch something for 10 or 15 minutes. If it's not for you, you leave. So there's constant movement in these screening rooms. So you can get to see a lot of movies during the day, because sometimes the very first shot you say, oh, that's not for me, and you're right for the door. But in others, it takes a little while to do it. But I just like, it's a discovery of finding these films.
I got to mention one thing that Hobbs did say 100% right. There's a young filmmaker in Mississippi named Christopher Moore. We got to talk about him real quick. He is a gay film director as well, and he made a movie called Children of Sin, which is an excellent film. That was like my top 3. The last.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to it and the interview. Yeah, he's fantastic. He did a movie called Triggered, and then he did Children of Sin. I know he's got a new one working on right now. It's fantastic. Children of Sin is fantastic.
Great.
Good. Wow. There. Yep. But the thing is, though, it's like, could we do a top 20? In the horror community, could we do a top 20 gay and lesbian film? Maybe in that community they could come up with a top 20. But as far as mainstream goes, could we get a mainstream reviewer doing a top 20 gay and lesbian horror list? Right now, from what I've seen from my experience, of course it's just my experience. Other people might say differently, but no, I don't know anybody here that can put together a top 20 gay and lesbian film that they've seen within the last year. I dare say even the last 5 years. I think it is getting better too, but it needs to be. We need more visionaries such as yourself to because you give us the movies, you push them out there. You sit there and say, look what we got, and it's up to other people to, like I said before. I mean, you were so influenced the way I look at cinema by the movies that you have produced. I look at it pushes me. I'm not sure how. I'm sure Al feels the same way. But it pushes me to take more chances to sort of like be like you when you walk at AFM. I mean, you walk through and you look at different movies that nobody else is going to look at. Yeah. But yet, for some reason, there's something there that you'll take a chance on it. Yeah. And the movie always pretty much ends up just magnificent. It's just an amazing. You got an amazing eye.
Well, one of the things that I don't really care about is the budget. So a lot of the films you see are really low budget films, but it's the creativity of the filmmaker and the actors that kind of overcome those financial limitations and end up making a really interesting film at a very low budget. And those are kind of my sweet spot. And they are forgotten about because a lot of my competitors would, it's not big enough. They pass. And actually, most of the time when I make a bid on a film, other people aren't bidding on it. So I know I'm finding these weird little gems. I always think of it as going into a used record store and looking for something interesting, and then you find it, and it's like, that's it. It takes a while.
Now, when do directors know who you are now? I mean, if I'm an independent director, we have a couple in the chat here. I saw Chadwick here, and Michael Menard was here. Do the directors know who you are? I mean, do they? I think
they know more of the companies that I've run, because I kind of stay in the background a lot. So I mean, I deal with it, but I don't really. Now with Cinephobia, I'm much more involved with the filmmakers, and even with Artsploitation. But with TLA, I was kind of a hands off. It was a bigger operation, and so they knew TLA for the gay filmmakers and some of the horror film festivals filmmakers, and then Artsploitation. It had an unusual name, and that kind of clicked to a lot of people, and it made it sounded bigger than it was, because people, Artsploitation, yeah, and you would get a lot of filmmakers saying, "This is the film I just made is an Artsploitation movie. You have to watch it," and because they think that way sometimes. It's great.
So they came in there thinking that their movie was that type.
Yes,
that's got to be But now, whether they were or not, but that's got to be sort of it's got to be rewarding.
Oh yeah,
And
when
they walked in there, said that.
Yeah, no, it happens, and it's great because it's like they understand what I'm looking for and what I do, I guess, and they're in the same wavelength. So as they make their movie, and so every once in a while, these films I do pick them up. I'm forgetting the last one was like that, but well, I think it was Brightwood because they came excitedly to us. So so yeah, sometimes it's hard to find the film or to get the film. And once it starts getting a bidding process and it goes past my budget, I've learned to let them go. I used to cry and, no, I can't lose that movie.
Yeah,
okay, there's another one down the pike.
I saw that you commented that on Instagram about a movie that you thought needed to be released, but it was just slightly above, what you had. You couldn't get it now. But you said you were championing its just release. I remember that. It was not that long ago. What, if you don't mind me asking, but I mean, how does that work? Like, let's say you, me, and Al, we walk in, and we'll throw in Hobbs here, and we'll throw in Michael Menard. I saw him in there. So there's the five of us. We walk inside of a room. Now, do you watch movies together with other distributors, and then make like sealed bids for the movie, or how does that work? So, like, if you wanted the movie and Michael won the movie and Al won the movie, how does that work to where you get to, how do you figure out how much money to bid for a movie?
Oh, it's a crapshoot. It's in your head, you think, and you can be right or wrong. So it's I stick to a general budget and I go up and down on it depending on the need. But so let's say a couple people are bidding on it. It's actually like an auction because it's like I'll say $15,000 and so, we've got an offer for 20. Can you give me 22? And then sorry, someone just came in for more. And so you really go as far as you can. And the sales agent who's selling the movie, they just want the money so that they want that thing. But it's money, but it's also your reputation because I'm known to pay people and also, oddly enough, to give them the reports that they need quarterly and yearly on the income and expenses and stuff like this. A lot of people acquire the movie and then they never deal with the producers again. But I send out those things so they know that that's going to happen. And you give them a pitch on how you see the film and how you're going to market the film because they want to know it's going to someone who cares about it. And it's important to the upfront money that I offer, but at the same time, they want to know that it's going to be handled correctly. Right. So it's a little schmoozing and it's more, it's like being a fan too. I gush a bit when I see a film and I write along. Most film distributors don't write so much and I write a lot. So I write a long interpretation of the film and I send it to the filmmaker or producer. And it's like, this is why you should let me distribute your film. This is what I see in it.
That's so cool.
So it's a whole mix of different factors that, but when it comes to money, I know my place in the pecking order. So when the big guys come around and they're sniffing around, I know I'm not getting the film. So,
oh man!
But they don't usually. My level of films, it rarely happens. But every once in a while, they snatch something.
So we got a question here, and I'll have you answer it. So our good friend Hobbs Horror says, Ray, I have a question for you. The community seems divided on this one. He's talking about me because I absolutely hated it. But he says, what are your thoughts about the Neon Demon by Nicholas Wynn?
Yeah.
Do you know it's going to be a short answer? I haven't seen it.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
You think it's terrible?
I liked it. There you go.
Oh, you did.
I hated it.
I might even have a copy.
Yeah, I don't like him as a director. I think he's overrated. I just do. Okay, how about Drive? Did you see Drive
Drive.
with Ryan Gosling and
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a weird title for this.
Yeah.
That it was like it was just a pop movie to me.
Thank you.
It's like
If you go back there, if you watch that movie on disc, if you watch the disc and the special features, that there's like an interview with him. I swear to God, he thinks he's made the second Citizen Kane. I'm not kidding you. Listen to him talk, ran about his movie, and he's it's like the Ten Commandments, Citizen Kane, and Casablanca all together, and it's like, dude, I hate to interrupt you, but it ain't.
No.
Now, what kind of movies do you? I mean, let's talk a little bit about the advertising aspect of that, because you mentioned that, and that fascinates me too. Is like, before you could see the movie on network TV, you would see print ads, you would see trades, you would see magazines such like Fangoria, but all those things have just like,
oh, it's gone.
How do you advertise? Like how like you mentioned, let Dane promote Brightwood, but what is Cinephobia? Let's just talk about the glass table, since we'll be talking about it a lot in 2024. How are you going to promote that movie? How do you have a marketing plan? Do you talk with peers? How do you come up with how do you promote a movie like that's made in Spain? How are you going to promote that movie here in the States?
Well, you're right. It used to be a lot simpler years ago, because we used to have a budget for I think it was like $1.50 for each unit we think we'd sell, and you have an advertising budget, and then you went to all the different press, and you just had print advertisements, and it was easy. And now it's so much harder, because you really are concentrating solely on the internet, and it's a little harder to gauge its effectiveness and whether you're reaching the right audience for these things. So a lot of it is hit or miss. But we do the Amazon and the normal players. We do the boosting and advertisements and promotions and things like that. And we try to narrow it down to our audience, because that's the good thing with like Facebook. You can get down to the age of the person, the sex of the person, their interests and their kind of films they like, and you can really get our film in front of them. Well, that's the ideal thing, and then hopefully they're interested enough to rent it. But I won't say it's a crapshoot, but it's a lot more difficult now than it was before, because you're just kind of throwing money into the internet and hoping that something sticks.
Yeah, and then you're fighting the algorithm and all this other ridiculousness, and I hate promoting. It's awful.
So I keep it. We spend the money, but you just hope that it's spent well. You never know in advertising.
Like, what social media platforms seem to work best for you as far as that go? And I mean, as far as get Cinephobia out there, and is it hard to balance running the doing, you have to be your own, or you do your own press, so is it hard for you to balance working social media? Do you have certain days that you work on it, or do you have people working on it for you, or is it it seems to be rising in importance more and more every month.
And that's kind of what I'm missing. I mean, I'm for the next couple of features, I've hired a couple different people to promote the films, because I don't think I've been doing all that great a job. So some other people are doing it. So that's good. Dane is going to do the coffee table. So
who's going to do it?
Oh, Dane Elkar, the director of Brightwood. So I said, you did so good. Could you do this other horror film? He said, sure. Because you could do it any time of the day and you do stuff. And he's really creative with all his promotions and things like this. And he gets it out there.
That movie needs to be pushed.
Yeah.
It deserves it.
Yeah, it really found that audience, though. It was good. It's like, I wasn't sure. When I picked it up, I loved it, but I didn't think it was going to do that well, because it's just two people walking around a lake. So I thought, people aren't going to get this film. And
Oh no, I was actually thinking about the Glass Table. I'm thinking. You paid Dane to promote Brightwood.
Oh yeah, he's going to promote.
I'm thinking about how you're going to promote the Glass Table. I'm thinking that movie needs to be experienced.
Yes. See, the problem with that film, or the challenge, is that you can't reveal the plot, or you can't reveal the horror. So, and so far of the like 20 or 30 press reviews we've received, only one person mentioned it. So that's great because the press now is cooperating. They dance around the big reveal. So,
so how hard was it for you? I mean, what led you to decide to, here's TLA, it's going really well. You're pioneering, you're bringing a lot of cinema to a lot of people, a lot of different genres. What made you decide to sell it? And and again, it's like, what led you to decide to sell art exploitation? It seemed like art exploitation was just on the rise. And did you feel like it was just that time it reached its peak?
Well, with that one, no. I think I made a mistake, and Kino Lorber, they were doing the physical goods distribution, so the DVDs they were doing for me, and they came to me and they offered me, to buy the company, and I'm like, oh, that's really nice of you, but I'm fine. And then I started thinking, maybe it is time and stuff like this. So I impulsively sold it, and I regretted it immediately, and that's why I had to set up another company. I'm like, damn it, I wasn't ready.
I knew it. That's exactly how I saw it too. This is exactly how I saw it.
It's like, because I can't, I can't retire. The idea of not doing this stuff is a little scary. So it's like, I have to keep on doing it. And as long as, I can make it an ongoing business, it's fine.
Go ahead, Al.
I was going to ask, what's the quality thing that you look for in a movie that you want to pick up? Like, is it story? Is it like what's the thing that grabs you?
It is the story. Especially if it's weird or unpredictable or controversial. I love that. So, and so I kind of ignore some of the acting qualities or the sound and other kind of the technical issues when I just love the story, and I'll forgive other things about it. So, that's it. It's like there was a film, Artsploitation, called Der Bunker. I don't know if you guys ever saw that one.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot about it. Yeah,
that is bizarre. Yeah. Of course, it caters to a very select crowd, but it's just bizarre. It's not horror. It's not. It fits. It doesn't fit really in any category. Just strange.
Yeah. It's its own thing. Yeah.
Yes. So, I.
Now, did Kino offer you? Did they give you a job too when you worked? Did they say
when I sold it? Yeah, I became their genre scout. So the tables were turned, and I was watching a lot of movies. I was sending out 3 to 5 reviews a week on different titles that are just coming out. And I was going still to the markets and things like this. And I would send them analysis of both about the quality of the film and then the kind of what audience it could go for and what I expect it could do in the market. But their appetite for genre films wasn't really that strong. They wanted to get into it. Everyone's getting into horror, so they wanted to, but they're really art film people. So they only picked up 2 or 3 titles.
I sort of looked at them as recyclers. It seems like that's.
They do. Yeah, that's 90% of their business.
Yeah,
but then the others they release, 12 or 14, 20 something films a year. So, but that's also why I wanted to set up a company. I'm saying all these films I'm seeing, I'm loving them, and they're not getting picked up, or someone else is picking them up. And so that lasted about a year, and then I said, I gotta.
Yeah.
I gotta do it myself.
So you didn't. So they didn't mind you when you said that. Was there any backlash when you said that you were gonna?
No, because they ended up closing their horror division, Kino Cult. They just
Really
closed it down. They just, if you don't have that passion for it, and if it's just a business decision, we have to get into horror. Okay, now we have a horror division. We call it Kino Cult. Okay, but if there's not someone there that's really pushing it and finding the right films and getting it out there and taking care of the baby, it's going to die. So it died. So they got out.
Now like when I was really when I heard that when I heard the news that that Kino Lorber had bought an Artsploitation, and I knew that you had gone with it. I was thinking to myself, going like, I wanted to know how they were going to market the movies that you released, because I had never seen anything on Kino Lorber that came close to what Artsploitation did. Yeah. I just thought that's so weird. They don't have a track record at all.
No,
they never even come close to your track record.
Yeah, well, because I also sold them like 5 or 6 films that were not released yet, that was in the pipeline. And not to criticize them too much, but they flopped because they didn't, they didn't do it right. You have to be more guerrilla-like. You have to get out there with, and come up with things and work a film. But they're just used to a certain system, and these kind of little films that have a specialized audience that just didn't fit with them. So it was just a very bad marriage.
I gotta say one thing too, and I know it's gonna happen for Cinephobia too. I gotta tell you one thing I really liked about your marketing is that you gave us, even us small reviewers, you gave us a voice. I mean, I can't tell you the first time I went to Artsploitation's website and saw my review looking back at me. Quoted. I can't tell you how I was. It validated what I was trying to do, because I'm not a professional critic. I didn't go to school for it or anything like that. I just wrote how I felt.
Yeah.
But when you got up there and you went to the Artsploitation, and there it was, and it's such an empowering thing for I guess we call this guerrilla film critics or what have you.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough for that. And it really puts a bit in your mouth to make you work harder to become a better writer, a better reviewer. And it helped me, like, what can I say? I mean, you guys were releasing just absolute fire every release. I even the one, I think of all the movies that I've reviewed for you, I think there's only been one movie that was sort of a misfire, and that was an Argentinian anthology film. I think it's the only thing.
No. I'm sorry about that one.
That was which one I'm talking about. That's the only one.
Yeah. That was I did it as a favor. That was not from the heart. That was I knew the sales agent, and he just said, could you just do me a favor and release this? And I didn't enjoy it at all. And if you can notice, even in the publicity and advertising, we kind of didn't put a lot of energy in it. And it got some bad reviews. It got a couple good reviews, and I was surprised. But yeah, that was
the only one. But the foreign films, like the first time I saw Luciferina, man, I was just like, this is awesome. It's like, this is awesome.
So you don't get many of them. That was a wild one, like a Ken Russell film.
Yes, and it's funny. I'm sitting over going like, I hope the hell he comes out with the other two, because he wanted to be a trilogy. Yeah. And I always sometimes when I go back there and I see my review, and I go back there and I go, I wonder if he ever made it. And then I go look and I don't see anything. And I'm like, So so once you got back, you after you left Kino Lorber, now did it seem like what had changed the most since you sold to Kino Lorber to establishing Cinephobia? What had changed most about the business?
Well, on a practical side, I didn't need an office anymore. I had an office and everything. So now I just work from home. And I used to have a full-time employee, and so now everything is outsourced. So I have like an artist in Pakistan, an artist in Spain. The social media people can be all over the country. You know, it doesn't matter where anyone is anymore. So that's made it both, I think, cheaper to run and maybe even better too. So that's the more on just the kind of obvious change there. The business itself hasn't really changed. The DVD sales, we used to sell 20 or 30,000 at TLA of a title, and now we're hoping, for 500 to 1,000. But it hasn't fallen any further. It kind of leveled out, and hopefully maybe younger people start liking physical goods again. So we're still committed to that. So yeah, I see that in the background. And
the bat strikes again.
Yeah. And even though you don't make a lot of money on DVD, they should all come out on DVD because it's just something important, I think.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do too.
But the business itself is kind of strong. Although I was just reading an article today about how independent distributors are offering much less in the minimum guarantees to acquire a film because they're not doing so well. So I read that, it's just not just me, it's everybody else too is suffering because the income from VOD and streaming doesn't really replace the good old days of DVD. When that just came out, bang, you had a ton of money. So now it's more it's a tougher thing. So, but that's the nature of the business. You got to work it. So, and that's where Tubi comes in and all these other, and there's like dozens of these sites out there. And I'm kind of a whore. If someone wants a film on one of their streaming services, I make a deal with them, even if it doesn't do that well for them. I just feel like you got to get the title out.
Yeah, at least it gets it out. I mean, people can discover it that way. I mean,
right.
That's why I looked at Tubi. That's why I look at Tubi. I'm like, I see that as a tremendous, like, a fertile, scouting ground. Like, who's out there that's new, who's out there that's exciting, and that's how I look at Tubi. That's how I look at Tubi now.
Yeah.
But now they're switching it around to where it's now going to be like Amazon Prime. And and you have a feeling that maybe hopefully Plex will step up there and take it over.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully Plex, hopefully it'll be a couple of years before Plex goes that way, and by that time there'll be another one out there selling itself for independent film.
Yeah.
But it's such a tiresome thing, though. You have to chase all these other companies. You have to go ahead and follow. Go from Tubi to Plex, from Plex to whatever. And it's just frustrating as hell. It's like, just leave it alone. If you left it alone, it'll grow. We could actually, like, why couldn't Tubi be like an Amazon where it's like this movie, buy a copy, go to this link, and buy a copy of the movie.
Yes.
Why can't Tubi do something like that? Right. I mean, Amazon, it worked for Amazon.
Definitely.
And then Amazon forgot its roots.
Yeah.
The love for foreign cinema is another thing I wanted to touch bases with too, because you again, not only is your eye strong for just independent film in general, independent horror, but your foreign film. So let's walk through that a little bit. Now, where do you go for those? Do they come to you here in the States, or are you flying across the pond to the different festivals over in Europe? How do you find how did you find The Glass Table?
That was at the Cannes Film Market. So that's in a basement, the market, and the festival with all the celebrities and the lights and the red carpet are above us, but we're down in the basement watching movies and making deals and stuff. So and there, they show like 800 films, in dozens of screening rooms there. And but I saw that, and I ran to right after the screening, I ran back upstairs to the sales agent and said, I got to have this film. You never should do that because, of course, then he starts calling his other people and start making a little bit of a bidding war. But I still got it. So, because I just thought, this is it. That's a
So
film.
So is it fair to say that you don't have a poker face when it comes down to negotiating?
That's my weakest thing. Yes, because I'm still a fan. So it ends up, I kind of start telling them, what's so great about the film. And I had someone I knew said, you should pull back a little and kind of, like you said, a poker face, but I don't have it.
So. That's so, what though, I got to respect that. I got to respect the enthusiasm, because I think that's what we all do, for the most part. That's what we all do here. Like when I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, yes, there's some people here that do the same thing. They get a franchise or a film and they champion it. That, they do. And I like that. I'm like that too. I mean, I get a good film I like, and, I really like it. I champion it. I get it out there and talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
So I get that. But you're right. It probably would be behooved to walk up with a poker face, say, yeah, it's a nice little movie. Yeah, we might be able to do some business. But inside, you're jumping up and down, going like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I know. But that was a no-brainer film. I mean, that to me was like I had to have it. So.
Well, you mentioned earlier that for the what was the film? Let me go ahead because I don't want to just like. Let's see.
Do the sales agents appreciate your enthusiasm, or they just don't care? They're just all about the money.
Oh, they're both ways. Some of them do, and others are there. They just, it's like they're just bottom line. But luckily, there are enough, especially in the smaller companies, that appreciate your. It's still about the money, but they'll make they'll negotiate.
A little nicer about
it. Knowing it's somebody really likes the film.
Yeah.
And sometimes I write to the director to help me out a little bit. I just write a little review to them and say, I'm bidding on it. I don't know if I'll get the film, but this is what I like. And do everything because you don't always have the biggest pocketbook, so you have to you have to find other ways to entice these people to sell you their film.
Right.
Have people done that, Raymond? Have they sold you their film even if you underbid?
Oh yeah. There's been several because it's also relationship based. So if I've picked up a film before and did well with it and sent all the reports and everything, I say, well, we don't get, it's a couple thousand less, but we know we'll get something in the back end or something. So yeah, it's a lot of horseplay when it comes to this. It's a very strange business in that also in the beginning, there's nothing written. You just do a handshake and that's the deal. And it's very old fashioned, but, and then, months down the pike, you get a contract and that's it. But you kind of have the film at that point. No one's ever taken a film away from me, so that's good. By saying, someone's so.
I'm looking at. You mentioned how you did the sales agent a favor when you bought Terror 5. Could you talk to us if you can remember the details of this? Because I'm fascinated by it. But Christmas Blood that Renard did, and it has such a tragic history. Did you know about that history of that movie before you bought it? Did it influence you? Did it influence you when you did watch it?
What's the tragic story?
That movie's like The Exorcist. A lot of people pass away doing that movie.
Really?
Yeah, that were connected to it. Yeah. Renard was telling us about it one night here, and I was so saddened by hearing. And I was just wondering if he had heard, like during the filming of the movie, when you bought it, did you know about that?
No, I didn't. And the sales agent keeps that away from you. So, But no, I haven't even read anything about it. It's funny. No, I wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious about that because it's like that's it's like oof, that's gonna be a little tough. Now,
Yeah.
when you do your press, how do you decide to what person's like you either send a screener to or you send a hard copy to? How do you decide that? Is it built on loyalty? Is it built on what do you think the writer's going to say or the press agent's going to write about? Is it just a crapshoot, like so to speak? Like how do you decide? How do you work your press to maximize your resources?
Yeah, it's never with what I think they're going to write, because I don't even mind a bad review if someone points out the film's real deficiencies or something like this. It's fine, and it's still publicities for the film. So, but I have it that I break it down to sending them screener links, sending them hard copies, it used to be about 150 reviewers got hard copies, but that was a couple years ago, and it's gone down a bit. And that's really them asking, really, or that I know they're collectors too, and they'll review the film, and then it's part of their collection, so I like that. And or I scour the internet when I see a title and I see who's been reviewing what and stuff like this, and I try to get in good with those people, And you always send the hard copies to the big guys, but I would say 95% of the time they don't review it. So
Really?
so it's really the loyalty is with the independent bloggers and website people and stuff like that have the true passion to watch a film like these.
See how lucky you and I are. See how lucky you and I are now, Al. Wow, that does blow my mind. It blows my mind, when I hear that. I'm like, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they review your films? It's not like they're I don't have enough room on the page because most places now are all internet based. I mean,
yes,
there's no reason for not to review when you get sent a movie.
Yes, but it's a tough nut to crack for a lot of those guys, and
that frustrates me because there's a lot of people out there that will love to have a crack at it. They'd love to, and to review it, and talk about it and champion it. So what movie? Now, what's the next big thing for you as far as marketing goes? Is it going to be cons? Because it doesn't cons start in March or April?
Oh, that's in May, but Berlin is next month. So that's a great one because they've got it's mostly foreign language films there. It's not too many American or some British films, but it's mostly European films. And you find some good stuff. I mean, it's not very good for genre so much, but you have to, when the list comes out, there's maybe 400 films, and you have to read about each one. And, you don't know. And once it says something about the little girl finds a daisy, boom, next film. And you just have to find the film that you want.
Five people go to a cabin. Oh, okay. Been there.
Yeah. And then you have to watch them, or and then you get it down to the ones you can afford and you love and you want.
Trailers seem to be a lost art. Making a trailer seems to be a lost art, and a lot of times that's how you watch a trailer and it attracts you to the film, or a synopsis on the back of a DVD cover. That also seems to be a lost art as well.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is, and can it be recovered? Because a lot of us here in our little community, we do a lot of blind buy. We don't know about the movie. If it looks good, cool, whatnot. If we see a good trailer, but like I said, I mean, a lot of the trailers today, they either tell the whole movie in 2.5 minutes, or they're so freaking generic and they play the same generic music over it. Oh my God. You find yourself tuning out of the trailer before it's finished because it all sounds and looks the same. When did that happen? And what do you, does that play a part into the movie? how the trailers play a part into that? If you see a good trailer, does it intrigue you into
Oh
watching?
yeah, that's the best, I think. Softening the ground for the release is the trailer. I mean, people, they see it and it gets to you, and you like it. But you're right about how the lost art, because it's now structured. I mean, even a good trailer today is really just a little exposition in the beginning, and then a whole bunch of fast cuts, and then something that shocks you at the end, and bang, you're out the door. And it's very it's a factory-like thing. You're right that there's not a lot of creativity, and it's a shame because now we do it in-house when we have to do a trailer. I have some artists that do it, but if I could afford like a big house that does it, I don't know if they do any better, but so I don't know about our trailers. We just we sometimes take them from the producers and don't edit them all, and other times we kind of play around with it, because trailers also in the old days they were 3 minutes. Now they're 1:40 to 2 minutes at the most. They've gotten shorter.
Yet they still can tell the end of the movie in those trailers.
It's like that in Hollywood films, because I go to the movie theater and you see all these, and you say, "Oh, I saw that movie now already after watching the trailer." And the trailer is supposed to excite you and not give you enough information, so you want to see more.
Right.
And a lot of them, they just spoon feed you. So, and we might be guilty at times too. So it's tough.
You got some more
it's
questions?
Yeah, is there a certain foreign country that just keeps putting out just like bangers after bangers?
They change, because like Argentina was coming out with great independent horror films, and then it dries up. And Spain is probably the strongest in the European countries for horror. They have a strong horror sense there. They have good horror film festivals and audiences. So, and then France, not so much. Italy is starting now. They've started going back again to horror and stuff. So it kind of goes back and forth. Korea, that was so hot several years ago, and now
Korea was hot, yeah.
And then it just kind of dies out. So everyone has their season, it seems like, and it comes and goes. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
I got one for you. So we know you love the movies that you bring to us. So what other distributors companies are your favorites? Like my favorite is I'm saying that honestly. My favorite is like IFC Midnight. I love everything they put out.
Yes.
What do you like? What are like your peers or your competition? What other what distributing companies are your favorites? And some of the movies that they've released.
Yeah, well, Strand Releasing. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They, to me, are the classy independent. They've gone through all these years staying as an independent. They have a good eye, and they veer towards gay films and also to classier international dramas. Not so much genre stuff, but I always watch them, and I just think they just do a beautiful job in finding interesting films and then releasing them. And other than that, I mean, you have, I'm trying to think of the things. It's a weird business because you're not very friendly with your, at a screening room, you can nod to your competitors, but you don't really say anything to them because you don't want to give anything away. So
I was actually thinking Breaking Glass is pretty well
known. Oh, yeah.
Too.
And that comes from a former employee of mine who runs that.
There you go.
Really?
And yeah, he's taken a little bit of the old TLA philosophy, and he's morphed it into his own little company there. So he's very good.
We call that a coaching tree, where there's a big main head coach and there's other people that follow their trail. That's cool as hell.
Yeah.
So Breaking Glass has your thumbprint in it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's cool as hell.
And,
see what I'm talking about, everybody. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly why I wanted to get this man on the show. He is amazing. He's got an amazing eye, an amazing ear. It's magnificent. It really is. As far as film goes, if you're into independent, you're into something new. If you're, all the people I hear talk about, how, all I read this week was all about how people just hated Night Swim because it was so generic.
Yeah.
And all I want to do is just get out there and say, well, why are you keep spending your money on that product? You know what you're getting when you're getting a movie from that studio. So why do you keep throwing bad money after good or good after bad? Why don't you go on ahead and take a flyer and invest it in watching a movie like Brightwood or a movie like Love Bandit, which was a fantastic film, by the way. That was the first film he sent me. The Goldsmith, fantastic film. Goldsmith is a trippy movie.
Yeah.
Has stars one of the original stars of Suspiria is in the movie, and she rocks it. Absolutely,
she is crazy.
She steals that movie. She steals that. It's like, but nobody talks about it. Nobody's, you're too busy watching. Now we're talking about David Gordon Green getting kicked out of Exorcist. Who didn't see that coming? Why are you investing all that time into it? Come over to the good side. We have cookies.
Yes.
I just want to say, I want to acknowledge our good friend DeRay is here, our favorite Stardust, who actually is going to be watching Brightwood this weekend. I heard, and she is also a independent. She likes watching a lot of independent films, so she rocks. About trailers. Yeah, you certainly can't give anything away. And now she's saying she still needs to check out Night Swim. No, you don't.
No, just watch the trailer.
You don't need to say no to that.
I've seen the trailer like 5 times in cinemas, and it was like, oh, I'm going to avoid this movie.
No doubt. I saw that too, and I'm like, this is like the most. What is this? But all means though, we do have a lot of cool. Now I want to talk a little bit about this real quick. Now, your former art exploitation movies, are they all still under? How is Kino going to go moving forward? How are they going to keep moving them out? Can people buy them now? Or
they're all still available on streaming and on DVD, and they're keeping it as the Artsploitation collection. So that's nice instead of them mixing it all up in their catalog and it losing its identity. So I appreciate that from them. So, but they're all available. Yes.
Okay, so they're all available. You can also get all the movies from Cinephobia Releasing. They're also available, and already the Human Trap's going to be coming out soon. Talk to us about what movies are you releasing in 2024? I know you've released. Now I think Emmanuel's Revenge has just come out.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's going to be trippy.
Yeah.
Is that based on the old 70s series with Sylvia Christel?
Broadly, loosely, yeah.
Okay.
They take it and then they create a pretty good thriller aspect to it. And so I went in there thinking it was just going to be a cheesy little sex film, but it was actually really entertaining. So, and with some sex in it too, and so that helps. What else? We're releasing Lie With Me, a French film. That's in February. And then in March, it's going to be not the Glass Table. What am I thinking of?
You said Glass Table come out in February, right?
Oh, the Coffee Table.
The Coffee Table.
Yeah. Oh. Because you were saying the Glass Table, but it's the Coffee Table. That's in March, and then we have a really strange little title called Queen Tut coming out in April, and it's like a kind of a family-friendly drag film. So it's not my cup of tea, but I enjoyed it. So that, and then I don't have anything after that. I'm going to go to Berlin and start shopping.
Oh, that's got to be so much fun.
That's awesome.
Al, once you get your last few questions in, I'm gonna go ahead and sit over here for a minute and let you have the floor. And
Yeah,
let you guys talk.
I was gonna comment about the Artsploitation movies. Like, I vividly remember seeing so many of them on streaming platforms throughout the
Yes.
years. Like kudos to whoever did that. You, I guess, right?
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was.
I mean, you were hustling because I always saw one of those
I
movies
was.
pop up somewhere.
Oh yeah, I would like write to people, and I was like constantly trying to get saying, "Oh, I'm small, but I've got a couple titles, and you might be interested in." Um, and sometimes they immediately, and other times you really have to nag them a bit. But yeah, I think I got it out there.
Well, one of the releases I actually want to bring up real quick is I think I have a copy of it somewhere behind me.
I can see how you can't find it there.
Bunny the Killer Thing.
Oh,
Okay. So normally that's not my kind of thing, but it's hilarious.
yes.
Absolutely hilarious. So what like what went into you grabbing that one?
Well, it's again, I thought, oh, this is one, no one else is going to buy it, and two, that it's like, wow, this is perfect for us. It's like you talk about the storyline, it's bizarre and
Yeah,
very and it's very funny, and there's a lot of action, a lot of killings, a lot of inventive killings. So it was like a perfect film for me. It's like,
yeah, I'm gonna try to find the trailer real quick and drop it in the chat because it's something. We just have to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of forgotten about now, this film, but it was great at this time.
Oh, it's so funny. It's just it's so bizarre and insane that it's kind of brilliant.
Yes. Yeah.
In a weird way. Yeah. All right, there it is. For anybody that wants to see the trailer, I just dropped it in. Just dropped a link in the chat.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm looking over the list of some of the Artsploitation films. Now, do you still? These are all with Kino Lorber now, so people can get anything they can from Kino Lorber. And then Cinephobia also has. We'll put the link to your socials in there.
Oh, great.
So of course, people can go ahead and buy the movies. We know that Brightwood is out on, and everything is out on physical media too. There's no just streaming. If you want to buy a copy of these films for your physical collection, they are all out there for that, both on Kino Lorber and Cinephobia Releasing. So that's one great thing. I mean, there's sometimes, it seems like some of the distributors are now just, they're just now putting out streamers now.
Yeah.
And it's like what happened to the physical media? And all of a sudden it's like, well, we're doing, we didn't do that with this one. And that's the worst thing I can hear from a small distributor is when they sit there and say, well, we didn't put out a physical copy. I think my greatest fear as far as that goes is for independent filmmakers is when they stop putting out physical media themselves.
Right.
It's like you don't really want to do that. You want to be able to have, even if you can't afford a massive run, but you still want to get it out there in the hands of people to create that. You just never know. What movie have you done that just built up by word of mouth? What's the biggest movie that you had when you released that went from zero to word of mouth, like overnight, so to speak?
Well, it was several years ago. It was another gay movie. I don't know if you saw it. It's a comedy that made fun of gays at a time when no one ever did. And it did tremendous. It did a couple $1 million. I mean, today I can't even imagine that kind of thing. But we had 26 35 millimeter prints. It played all around the country, and it did tremendous on DVD and streaming and stuff. So that was one where we didn't, because people say, you can't do a gay comedy. That's making fun of people. But of course you can.
Sure,
it was very fun. So that was.
Is it safe to say that I think gays do a pretty damn good job at laughing at themselves. You know,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of my friends that were gay in the club business, they had no fun. I mean, they were, you know, they were open minded.
Yeah.
You know, and you know they weren't defensive. You know, and they understood the difference between humor and ridicule.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's on a side thing. I kept all my old issues of National Lampoon, and so I've been going through them every once in a while, and I find the humor there is different. It is making fun of people. It was all by straight white men making fun of anyone who wasn't that, and it was kind of mean spirited. But
Yeah.
something like Another Gay Movie wasn't mean spirited because it was like all in fun. So there was something different about it. It was still loving, I guess. And
Right.
so that was our biggest film ever.
You have one last question. Does anybody in the chat have any questions for our guest, Raymond Murray? If you have any questions at all, feel free to drop them in the chat. And Al, I'm going to let you ask the last question of the show.
Well, it's not really a question; it's more of a comment. But I just want to thank you for giving us all these awesome kick-ass movies.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
It's because of people like you that we get these interesting, crazy movies. And you know, without these, like, I don't know, I appreciate it so much. So thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great. That's a great way. I feel the same way as you know, Raymond. I like I said, I mean, you've actually influenced how I look at film, how I approach it. You know, and I can't thank you enough for that. I mean, that's a tremendous gift.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one that you have done that for. And I'm sure there's people in the chat that are going to find out. Yeah, I can't thank you enough. Just tremendous, just tremendous films, and I know you're going to keep them coming.
Oh, yes. I can't stop.
That's what we like to hear.
That's right. All right. So that's going to wrap us up here. We will be back tomorrow, though. We're going to be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. That's right. We're going to be back on a Saturday matinee show. We're going to be talking to the lovely Elizabeth Chamberlain of the film Grotesque and I'm Haunted. A lot of fun. I watched I'm Haunted today. That movie, that's a tour de force. Just pretty much just Elizabeth, and she does an awesome job. And
she's really great. Yeah, she's good.
Yes, she's really she's really strong. She's gonna be she can also sing. We're gonna be talking to her. Maybe get a couple of songs from her. And we'll be here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time. At 12 noon. And then on Tuesday, the 16th, we welcome in actress Susan Gallagher will be our guest. And Susan is a fine actress as well. She has appeared on many, many films, including the TV series Cobra Kai, where she plays the character of Lynn. So that will actually be our second Cobra Kai cast member to come visit us. So I'm very grateful for that. Raymond, thank you so much. You and Al, stay right where you're at. I'm going to turn to the chat and say thank you so much for coming out and supporting the show. I appreciate it. Thank you to those who are watching the replay. I really appreciate it. And share it out. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.